Have you also felt like your mind is constantly being pulled in a million different directions? In this episode, I'm going to show you how to reclaim your mind. And I will be sharing with you 3 simple but very powerful practices that you can use in your day-to-day life, which will help you to think critically, to think clearly, and to think consciously. And I cannot stress enough about the power of these practices because I use it in my day-to-day life and it has completely transformed my outlook in life, the way I present myself, and the way I think. Now, when I say reclaiming your mind or taking your power back, what I mean by that is taking full control of your thoughts, of your emotions, and of your decisions, instead of allowing the noise of the world to control you. If you're ready to do that, just like me and thousands of others who refuse to stay comfortably numb, then this series is for you. Now, this is a 25-part series on critical thinking and emotional intelligence, which will completely transform the way you think, feel, and make decisions. And by the end of this series, critical thinking and emotional intelligence will not just be mere concepts or these fancy terminologies that we use. These will become your most important superpowers. And this is the very first episode of that transformative 25-part series. So I'm really happy to welcome you on this journey with me. Hi, I'm Ayusha, Emotional Mastery Mentor and Director of International Programs for Soft Skills AHA, which is an edtech company based in the US that brings emotional intelligence and soft skills curriculum into the education institutions as well as even organizations worldwide. That's why you'll often find me saying we need both AI as well as EI, emotional intelligence, to thrive in this era. My work at Soft Skills AHA, as well as being an emotional mastery mentor, provides me the real world insights where I am able to see how people feel, how they think, and how they make decisions. And all those insights and all the research that I've done over the years is what I am bringing in this series, as well as many more series to come. So before I share with you the 3 simple yet powerful practices to reclaim your mind, I want to take a little time to simplify what emotional intelligence is, what critical thinking is, and what is the essence of the power of pause. And I'm a person who believes that there is great elegance in simplicity. And I really want to simplify these concepts and these terminologies for you so you are able to get a better grasp of the concept and you're able to ask probing questions yourself and you begin to observe more. So let's start with emotional intelligence. Think of emotional intelligence like being a weather forecaster for your feelings. You can spot storms like anger, frustration, sadness before they hit. And you're also able to recognize why they're coming. And not just that, you get to decide whether you want to take an umbrella, whether you want to wait it out, or whether you even want to go dance in the rain. Emotional intelligence is also your ability to understand other people's weather, whether it's cloudy, whether it's sunny. You're able to understand how they think and how they feel, even if they haven't shared a single word with you. So just like a skilled forecaster, you learn to not only navigate your own storms, but you also help others to navigate theirs. Maybe you show more patience. Maybe you offer a kind word. Maybe you empathize and you want to help the other person. Or maybe you just want to celebrate their sunny moments with them genuinely. The key point here is to have harmony within your internal world and in the world outside of you. Because remember, we all want peace, we all want happiness. And if you are able to start with yourself, then what happens is the practice and the time that you spend in working on your inner harmony, you begin to empathize better with others. Instead of looking at, why are they being so rude with me? You will start thinking, she must be going through something for sure, because she normally is not like this. I wonder what she's going through. So you are able to empathize so much more when you become a skilled forecaster for your emotions. I want to share a very, very crucial point about emotional intelligence and emotions. So remember that emotional intelligence always starts with self-control. And when it comes to emotions, remember, they are signals. Emotions tell you what matters to you. So whenever you feel an intense emotion about a particular situation or a person, it is telling you that that situation or that person matters to you. But remember, emotions are signals. They are not telling you what to do. So remember, emotions are information for self-awareness. They are not instructions. That is the distinction between an emotionally intelligent person who understands to pay attention to the emotions, not to ignore it, not to judge it, just to observe it and to heighten their self-awareness. Whereas the other person who is not emotionally intelligent look at emotions as their information as well as instruction, which it is not. So now let me explain to you what critical thinking is in the most simplest manner possible. So imagine critical thinking as being the detective for your own brain. Now, as a detective, will you believe anything and everything that you see or hear? Not at all, right? Because you will pause. You will ask a ton of questions. You will look for facts and you will look at all the different sides there are. So critical thinking primarily is your ability and it's a skill to make smart and thoughtful choices and not just reacting on autopilot. Now, here's something really cool. Emotional intelligence and critical thinking, they actually feed one another. It's almost like a loop. Think about this. When you understand your emotions better, you are able to think more clearly. And when you're able to think more clearly, you're able to understand your emotions better. Now I want to talk a little bit about the power of pause. This is so crucial because emotional intelligence actually reside in this very pause. Now let's look at the science behind this. Harvard neuroscientist Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor came up with a fascinating research. She found that it takes just 90 seconds for any form of intense emotion, whether that's anger, frustration, fear. It takes 90 seconds for that emotion to run its course through you. It's almost like a wave that takes place for 90 seconds and then it subsides naturally. The part of the brain that is responsible for this surge of emotions is amygdala. The part of your brain that is responsible for flight or fight response. This used to be very crucial back in the hunter-gatherer time, where you, of course, had to either fight or flee. But the kind of world that we are living in right now, it does not really serve us well because we need to utilize our reasoning mind, which is the prefrontal cortex. So what is the mistake that a lot of us make? We end up instantly reacting, thereby interrupting that 90-second process. And we let these passing emotions decide our next move. And a lot of times, those decisions can also be big decisions, which we may end up regretting it later. So what is the practice that you can start doing from today itself whenever you're emotionally triggered. When you're emotionally triggered, allow that emotion to rise, to peak, and then to fade away naturally. Remember, you are observing your emotions, you are not ignoring them, because these emotions are crucial for your own self awareness. It tells you what is important to you, but it does not tell you what to do. Remember, it is an information, not instruction. The power of that pause is that it gives your prefrontal cortex, which is your rational brain, the time to take the lead. Now that you're clear about emotional intelligence, critical thinking, and the power of pause, you will now be able to appreciate the three powerful practices in order to think critically. So the first practice is label emotions as data, not drama. Remember, every emotion is data telling you what matters to you. Most people either suppress their emotions or they get consumed by them. But emotional intelligent thinkers observe without becoming their emotions. So the trick is to shift your inner question from what is wrong with me to what is this trying to teach me? What is this emotion telling me about what I value and what matters to me? So just by shifting this inner question, you have replaced judgment with curiosity. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, who's a neuroscientist, she talks about something very interesting. She talks about something called the emotional granularity. Now, in simple terms, granularity is your ability to label your emotions with precision. Now, I want to add, being able to label your emotions with precision is another way how you can shift the focus from amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. And the more precise you are about the emotions, you are able to have a better thinking ability. And so you're able to cope better with your emotions. And you're able to understand and reflect about yourself in a better way. And you're also able to understand and gauge how you should respond to that situation or to that person. So, for example, instead of just saying, I feel bad, try saying, I feel disturbed, I feel angry, I feel frustrated, I feel annoyed. And then you try to flesh it out even more. For example, you say, I feel annoyed because I feel like my peace is being taken away. And when you flesh it out, you slowly start listening to your rational mind. Your rational mind might tell you, hey, you know what? Peace is not something that can be taken away until you give it away. Now you have this clarity that, hey, you know what? I'm not going to give my peace away so easily. So I will now disassociate or disengage, but I choose not to give my peace away. So very soon you will stop being bothered by that person or by a particular situation. The second powerful practice that you can start utilizing from today itself is by making decisions after you have done something called the scenario mapping. So for those of you who find journaling quite tedious, you could try this scenario mapping technique where you mentally map out the possible outcomes of your decisions. It's like running mini simulations in your head before committing to any choice. So how does this scenario mapping technique work? First, you identify the situation. Second, you imagine multiple possible actions, like option A, option B, option C. And third, you visualize the consequences of those actions for yourself as well as for others. So, in essence, this technique helps you to anticipate the ripple effects of your actions. It also helps you to reduce emotional biases, and it strengthens foresight and self-regulation. So let me elucidate this with a relevant example. Imagine a client criticizes your work. What do? That is when you go straight into scenario mapping in your mind, and then you allow the scenario mapping technique to take over, and where you realize, okay, option A is where I react defensively. Option B is I completely ignore the client. And option 3 is I ask clarifying questions calmly. Now, option A, which is to react defensively, of course, it may harm your professional relationship. Option B, you completely ignore. That can show that you are very unprofessional. And then option 3, ask clarifying questions calmly. There, you start a constructive dialogue. So which one would you choose? A quick thing I want to say is this, that it is okay to pause. I know we want always instant reactions, but you know what? When you pause, it shows that you are a person who thinks, and that is powerful. Now, the third powerful practice that you can start today itself is by doing something called the opposite test. Remember that our brain craves certainty, and when we crave that, it ends up blinding us to other perspectives. So how this opposite test works is where you pick a strong belief or assumption that you have, and then ask yourself, what if the opposite is true? So when you do this, your mind opens up, it flexes, it stretches, and because of being open-minded, you allow emotional maturity to start forming within you. And by doing this, your thinking becomes flexible, nuanced, and emotionally aware. So I have a challenge for you. Pick one opinion and challenge it. Explore the opposite. Not to argue, just to observe. When you combine emotional labeling, decision by scenario mapping, and the opposite test, you begin to reclaim control of your mind. So now you know better. You will no longer allow yourself to react. You will be acting out of awareness and intention. Now, if you were a professional or entering the workforce and you are not just wanting to understand emotional intelligence, but you actually want to start applying emotional intelligence in your day-to-day professional life, you can have a look at my course, which is on Udemy, titled Emotional Intelligence for Business Leaders and Professionals. This course will actually help you to really become the emotionally intelligent team player and a leader that I know you secretly want to be, because we all want to be emotionally intelligent. So I hope you go check that out, and I'm sure it will help you massively in your professional life. If you're an educator watching this and you want to integrate soft skills and career readiness programs into your curriculum, you can reach out to me directly. I will make sure to keep my contact details down below. I'll also keep the website down below so you can have a look at the website. And I would love to meet you in person and take you through the program, because I just absolutely love the program so much, because everything is packed inside. And I know how crucial emotional intelligence and soft skills are, especially in this AI era. And finally, remember, this is the first episode of this 25-part series on critical thinking and emotional intelligence. Rest assured, we will be going into more details as we flesh out this topic, and together we will learn to take our power back. And I really look forward to seeing you in the next one.